Hi everyone, Eva here. I'm the owner and founder of My Sleeping Baby, and today's Friday. Happy Friday, everyone. So, as usual, I answer one mom's question in the My Sleeping Baby Facebook community. And today's question was from a mom named Leah who asked me my opinion on the book 12 Hours by 12 Weeks. So, she asked me this a couple days ago, and I was really excited to answer this question because it's a good one. So, generally speaking, there's a book called 12 Hours by 12 Weeks, which claims that if you follow her specific instructions on specifically a feeding schedule and a daytime sleep schedule for your baby, that by 12 weeks, they'll be able to sleep through the night. Now, before I give my opinion on her suggestions specifically, I just want to clarify a couple of things here. Number one, I am all for maximizing a baby's sleep. I just want to put that out there. Sleep is fantastic. Sleep is wonderful. And if a younger baby is capable of sleeping huge long stretches at nighttime, I am all for it as long as it is healthy and developmentally appropriate, right? So if you have a baby that is capable of giving you longer stretches of sleep at night, that is fantastic. And if there are things that you can do to get your younger baby sleeping longer stretches of sleep at night, that is wonderful. But again, it needs to be healthy. It needs to be age and developmentally appropriate. And for the most part, I find that the recommendations in this particular book are not age appropriate, are not developmentally appropriate, and they're potentially not even healthy either, depending on the baby. So the first thing that I want to talk about is her recommendation for feeding your younger baby during the daytime. So she recommends to put your baby on a 4-hour feeding schedule where your baby, I suppose, is waking up at, let's say, 7, eating at 7, and then again around 11, and then again around 3, and then again, I guess, around 7 before your baby goes back to sleep for the night. This particular suggestion may work for some bottle-fed babies. It will likely not work. It likely does not work for the vast majority of breastfed babies. And the reason is because bottle-fed babies are capable of taking down more ounces in one feed than a breastfed baby is, because it's a little bit more work for a breastfed baby to get the milk from the breast. And so they get tired more easily, and they just generally don't ingest as many ounces at once in a single feed the way a bottle-fed baby can. Though I do want to emphasize that, both of my kids took bottles at specific points in their infancy, and neither of them were ever taking down 6 to 8 ounce bottles at this age that your baby would need to be taking down in order for this recommendation to work. So if you happen to have a bottle fed baby who can take down 6, 7, 8 ounces at one time, then your baby likely won't be hungry for another 3.5 to 4 hours because he was able to eat that many ounces at once. So if your baby fits into that category, it might work. If you have a bottle fed baby who's only taking down, let's say 4 ounces, 3 or 4 ounces at one time, then your baby's going to be hungry earlier. And chances are, if you have a breastfed baby who's also maybe taking down 3 to 4 ounces in one full feed, then he or she is going to be legitimately hungry much earlier than the 4-hour mark. And the notion that stretching your baby's feeds during the day will get your baby sleeping longer stretches at night is just not true. To get a baby sleeping longer stretches at night, and nutrition is definitely a key piece of this puzzle, you need to make sure that daytime nutrition is optimal. And I'm pretty certain this applies to basically the entire human species, that for us to sleep well at night, we need to be eating well during the day. And so you want to make sure that your baby is eating frequently during the day, on demand, whenever he or she is legitimately hungry, so that he doesn't need to be eating more at night to compensate for not eating enough during the day. Because holding off, stretching out a baby's feeds and not feeding a baby when he or she is legitimately hungry can have a variety of consequences, none of which you want. So number one, this applies to both breastfed babies and bottle-fed babies who don't take down huge bottles. The first consequence I'll mention is that you're going to get a hungry baby at night. Because again, mathematically, your baby needs X number of ounces, depending on the age and size of your baby, needs a certain amount of ounces of milk during the day. And so if he's not getting those ounces during the daytime hours, he's going to wake more frequently at night to compensate. So this specific recommendation can end up backfiring and have the opposite effect. The second really bad consequence, specifically for breastfeeding moms, is that your milk supply could drop, which again leads to the other consequence I just mentioned, is you'll get a hungrier baby at night. If your milk supply is dropping because your baby isn't eating enough, it isn't on the breast enough during the day, then that could also lead to more night wakings because your baby will be hungrier at night. And if your milk supply is down, it could be this a vicious cycle and could be potentially be the end of breastfeeding. In very extreme yet plausible circumstances, all of these conditions can end up leading to failure to thrive. If the baby isn't getting enough milk during the day and then mom's supply drops and then baby begins losing weight as a result, I don't want to scare any of you. I just want to emphasize this, that this is not something that is going to end up happening on, a regular basis. But if it continues for a long enough period of time and mom's milk supply is down and baby's not eating enough, that could potentially lead to failure to thrive. So it's a potentially dangerous recommendation in this particular book. So what's most important here is for your baby to be fed on demand. And I'm not referring to the babies who are nursing throughout the day constantly and mom's a human pacifier, because that's not all nutritive nursing. The recommendation of holding the baby off and telling your hungry baby that she can't eat because hasn't been at least 4 hours since she last ate, as a mom, goes against my common sense, and it never sat well with me, that particular recommendation. If I'm hungry, then I want to be able to eat. So if my baby's hungry, then I'm not going to make her wait another 45 minutes because it's not her scheduled feeding time. And from a sleep standpoint, it could easily get you the opposite consequence, the opposite result that what you're hoping for. So that particular suggestion will only work for some bottle-fed babies. The other recommendation that this particular author gives in her book is to make sure that is to put your young 2 to 3 month old baby on a sleep schedule. And she gives very specific times, says put your baby down at this time, make sure that she sleeps for 2 hours, and then put her down again a couple hours later, and then have her sleep again for another 2 hours. This particular suggestion is not realistic or developmentally appropriate for most babies in this age range, because most babies in this age range are not ready to be giving us consistent, predictable, long restorative naps. It's just not realistic. Daytime sleep at this age is neurologically disorganized, which means that either the naps could be cat naps throughout the day, or your baby might give you a 2-hour nap one day and then at the exact same time give you a 45-minute nap the next day. So what's most important to ensure that your baby doesn't get overtired is to respect those wake periods, to make sure that your baby isn't awake for periods of time that are too long throughout the day. And for some babies, that might mean they nap 3 times because they're giving you these monstrous 2-hour naps, which is awesome if you have a baby like that. But then at this age, you can easily have a baby napping 5 times a day, 45 minutes apiece. And so trying to get your baby onto a schedule that he's just not ready for, first of all, is likely going to get you really frustrated. And you'll probably feel totally defeated and like you're doing something wrong because the book is telling you to do something. You know what? The reality is that the book is probably wrong and that your baby isn't ready for this kind of schedule. And so don't fret, just stick to those wake periods. Make sure that she's not overtired, because the other consequence of this recommendation is that trying to get your baby onto this type of schedule might mean that your baby gets overtired as a result and then wakes more frequently at night as a result of being overtired by trying to get them onto a schedule during the day. So as you can see, I'm not a huge fan. Generally speaking, if you happen to have a baby where you put them on this particular routine and it works amazingly, fantastic, and your baby's gaining weight and everything's healthy and everything's working wonderfully, then hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But as a methodology to attempt to try off the bat to maximize your baby's sleep, it's not something that I would suggest, because for the most part, I find that it's not going to work. It goes against basic sleep science and could likely lead to the opposite effect that you are going for. In other words, it could very easily worsen sleep. So that's my 2 cents, I suppose. I hope this was helpful, everyone. Have a good day and a wonderful weekend.